Okay, welcome everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. Special shout outs to 721X, as well as the other schools, particularly in Staten Island, joining us. We have 115 people on the call and growing. Thank you, folks. So yes, welcome to our session today, AI for efficiency, but also for teaching and learning. I'm hoping that everyone here will have a chance to share what they're doing with these AI tools, and also hopefully we'll be able to learn something new. So yes, as people are doing, if you feel inclined, feel free to share in the chat what school you're representing, who you are, maybe what subject you're teaching. And I would love for this to be as interactive as possible. I don't have anybody monitoring the chat, but we'll all rely on each other to help with the chat. If you're feeling ask a question, feel free to unmute and ask a question. All right. So I just want to make sure everybody's joining us, admitting everybody in the room. Let's get started. Oh, thank God for DIIT and Laura, my Mean Girls movie reference friend. We have some help in the chat. So Laura and friends are helping us out. So thank you so much. Who's leading this? So my name is Santi. I started this company like 13 years ago called Project Recess, and we started this company mainly to address a challenge that we saw. Many schools had access to technology, but did not necessarily have really great resources on how to use tech for learning. And this is way before Google Classroom. This is when Google Docs was first coming out, if you can even remember that time. And so we created this company to really help schools leverage tech for teaching and learning. So fast forward 13 years later, a few gray hairs later, don't let the AI filters fool you. We are an official Google for Education partner, contracted PD partner. Yes, you will be getting CTLE credits, but during that time, we've really partnered with so many departments within Central and so many schools in helping educators understand how to leverage these tools for teaching, particularly Google tools. So if you're interested in continuing that conversation, we're a contracted PD partner. Feel free to reach out. I'll share my email. And because of the work that we did, with New York City Public Schools, we were recognized as the Google Cloud Partner of the Year. I laugh a little bit because I'm still a little in disbelief. Google works with hundreds, if not thousands, of partners, and we were selected to be Partner of the Year because, again, of our work with New York City. So kudos to us. Just want to make sure that we're all admitted in the room here. And so that's a little bit about Project Recess. And so let's begin with a warm-up. I love asking a question. Laura, thank you. Warm-up question, folks, here. Let's think about this. Please share in the chat, if you're inclined. Tell me about a technology or innovation that you thought was all hype at first, but now has won you over. All right, think about something that you thought was all hype at first, but now has won you over. You're a big fan of it. Feel free to put it in the chat. And we'll all see. Apple Watch, thank you. Yes, I feel the same way, Julia, thank you. Cell phone, completely changed everything. Instagram, iPhone.
Air fryer. Someone said air fryer.
That's a comment worth unmuting for. Heather, thank you for sharing air fryer. I used it last night. It's a lifesaver. I use the air fryer more than I do my oven.
Yes.
So we're gonna change everything. This is gonna be the next hour. It's gonna be air fryers. So Heather,
This guy and I said the same thing. This guy's an air fryer. Yeah.
I've asked that question so many times, and like when air fryer comes out, like people get like too excited about that.
Yes.
Rightfully so. So thank you, everybody. We have some very interesting things in the chat. And so I like to ask that question because, like, myself personally, I was never a fan of the Apple Watch. And then after, after like our first kid was born, I thought this was like the perfect way to communicate to my wife to get diapers when like my hands are busy, soiled and whatever. So like I'm a fan of the Apple Watch, and I just want people to take that same approach to AI, right? I myself, we're all learning AI. I don't think there's an expert on AI now. It's a Wild West. We're all learning, and we're all learning from each other. But I think thinking about it in terms of like these other technologies that exist, there's surprising and pleasant discoveries on like how this can support our lives if using it in the right way. So I want people to be in that same mindset. All right, so let's continue. Okay, let's see if I can let people. Okay, I'm being asked to let people in. Hopefully that works. 153 people and counting. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. So let's start with this question. So this is a slide from this really wonderful organization called AI. It's a nonprofit that is doing a lot of work on how to integrate AI into teaching and learning. I'm gonna share all these resources with everyone. You're gonna get an email from me. So if you don't feel like taking notes, don't worry about it. It's okay. So what is artificial intelligence? Just like broadly speaking, just so we're all on the same page. In this case, AI is referring to programs or machines that simulate tasks that typically require human intelligence, such as recognizing patterns, making predictions, generating content, things like that. So for the sake of this conversation, this is what AI is. So moving forward from that, there are a lot of AI tools out there. Can you believe that ChatGPT, which I'm sure we're all familiar with, it's only 2 years old. 2 years ago, ChatGPT came out, I think December of 2023, 22, and it's really changed everything. It changed how we do work, how we teach, everything. That being said, not to be outdone, Google came up with a tool called Gemini. And Gemini is very similar to ChatGPT. It's like Google's version of ChatGPT, even though Google had this tech long before anyone else. And so for the sake of this conversation, I want to center a lot of what I share on Gemini, and mainly because if you haven't heard the news already, Gemini, again, Google's version of ChatGPT, was just enabled for every New York City public school staff member. And that's huge news, because if we think about what it takes for a platform to be approved, to be used by New York City, staff, employees, teachers, educators, it's a rigorous process. It's the ERMA approval process, if anybody's familiar. It's not for the faint of heart. That process exists to make sure that the tools we use are safe for us to use. And so I get this question all the time, like, Santi, like, why should I use Gemini when I'm already using something like ChatGPT? Well, there are many ways to answer that. I think the best answer to that is that ChatGPT currently is not approved for citywide use, and so a lot of the interactions you have with ChatGPT, a lot of that information is being used to train OpenAI, ChatGPT's AI models, and so your information is not necessarily safe. Like, definitely, if you're using ChatGPT, definitely don't use don't input PII, personally identifiable information there, because that stuff is being saved. On the other hand, Gemini, Google's version of it, since it went through the ERMA approval process, all of that information is safe. So any information that you would feel comfortable, sending in your at school's email or putting in your, Google Drive when you're signed into your, New York City public school accounts, rest assured that you can use the same information in Gemini. And again, okay, thank you. Whitelisted, but it means you need an administrator to approve. Laura, thank you for that clarification. All this to say, Gemini is approved, so it's very much safe to use. Okay, and all of these things are changing. 4 months ago, Gemini was approved. It's all changing, so we want to make sure we are using the most up-to-date pieces of software. That being said, this is the ambitious agenda for today. I hope people like drinking from a fire hose, because that's what's going to happen. I'm hoping that I'm going to give people a better understanding of how these tools work and how you can use them in your teaching and learning careers here in New York City. So this is the agenda. Let's get to it. Let's talk about it. So the first thing, a glimpse of what Google AI can do. So at this point, I think we're all familiar with how to interact with an AI tool such as Gemini or ChatGPT. When you submit a question to these tools, or Magic School or something like that, what you're doing is you're sharing a prompt, right? And so here's an example of a prompt. Not a very good prompt, I will say, but here's an example of a prompt. Create a rubric about the life cycle of a butterfly Okay, and so that's an example of a prompt. If I hit enter, it can give you something like this. All right, so I feel like we've all seen iterations of this before. If you've never used a generative AI tool like ChatGPT or Gemini, you're in for a treat, because like it can really take your ideas and what you want to do and really expand on it, right? So like I asked it to create a rubric and it did, but taking it a step further, again, this is just a preview of what these tools can do. I also asked it, as you can see, turn it into an online interactive app that can quiz you on this content. And I think this is a link. Yeah. So I'm gonna switch to this app. Okay. So now I'm sharing this tab of my Gemini window. So I took that rubric that Gemini created, and I just simply asked it to turn it into an interactive sort of like quiz. So here, what is the very first stage of the butterfly life cycle? Feel free to put it in the chat if you know. Egg and answer, right? Correct. So it created interactive that you can send to your students, that you can use for yourself to quiz yourself. So we're living in an interesting time where these tools can, in addition to making, helping you with emails, helping rubrics, these things can build apps for you, which is called vibe coding, which is interesting. So I'm going to go back to my presentation. We'll get back to that, but that's just a preview. Like, these tools are getting more advanced as time goes on.
No, no, que yo no puedo ngayon.
So please feel free to make sure that you're on mute, please. Otherwise, I'm going to have to forcibly mute you. I don't mind. Okay, so an overview of AI, Google AI tools in education. So as I mentioned, every teacher in New York City has access to the Gemini app. That's the official name for it. When I say Gemini, when I say the Gemini app, I mean going to gemini.google.com. So again, every New York City teacher, staff, you have access to this for free. If you open up a new tab, you can go to gemini.google.com and you can start interacting with their generative AI tool. And so what is Gemini? I don't want to get too in the weeds with this. I know we don't have that much time for this session. But again, as I mentioned, this is very similar to ChatGPT. You could think about it as Google's version of it, and it can do a lot of things. It can help you, re-envision your existing resources, your lesson plans, and truly make them more personalized. And again, I want to reiterate, there are many reasons to use this. I think the main one is that it is ERMA-approved, and it's safe for educators to use in terms of inputting information that's related to yourself or your class. All right, so how to write an effective prompt. There are many prompt frameworks out there. I've led sessions on different frameworks. I'm going to be completely honest, I forget what the frameworks are when I'm using these tools. You got all these acronyms, all these things. Great, they're helpful if you're like me and you don't sleep as much and you're trying to remember so many things. I forget what these frameworks are. Why am I being that honest about it? It's because all these frameworks and all of this information about prompt engineering really come down to this. And these are my recommendations for interacting well with AI tools. You want to provide context and you want to have a conversation. Honestly, I feel like if you just do those two things, you're good. Context, the more the better, right? You want to talk about who you are. Are you an educator? Are you a school leader? Are you a Michelin star chef? Are you a movie director? Who are you? And then what are you trying to get out of this? Are you trying to have these tools help you create a rubric, help you create an agenda, help you draft an email, help you translate something to a different language? It's like having a conversation. I've heard many times, and I agree with this, many of the companies and people that built these tools, like Google, like OpenAI, they say the best users of these generative AI tools are teachers because they know the right questions to ask. Like what I love about these tools is that you don't necessarily have to have a background in, computer science, coding, what have you. You just need to know how to have a conversation with a person, which, yes, sure, we all could be better at that. But I think for the most part, teachers know the content, they have that domain expertise and they know how to ask questions. So educators already are in some of the best places to use these tools. So context and conversation, all right? So this is an example prompt. Again, if you've not used these tools before, feel free to open up Gemini and test this out. Here's an example prompt. I'm a 5th grade teacher and I want to notify our parents and guardians upcoming field trip. Okay, so you could use that prompt. Again, you can open up a new tab and try it. Oops. So I'm going to switch to Gemini and then I'm just going to show folks what this may look like. So hold on, let me just switch to this tab. Okay, so here I am, I'm in Gemini. And then what did that say? I'm a 5th grade teacher. You know what, let me just copy and paste because nobody needs to see me typing and making mistakes as I'm doing this. So bear with me for 2 more seconds. All right. So here I am in Gemini again, gemini.google.com. I'm going to paste this prompt in there. All right. Who doesn't love a live demo? So I'm a 5th grade teacher. I want to notify our parents about this. Okay. So if I hit enter, and these all work similarly. Okay. These all work similarly. So I did that and I'll increase the size here. Hold on 1 second. So people can see it a little bit better. Okay, so this can help you not start from scratch. You're not reinventing the wheel. Okay, so it gives you an example subject. It says parents and guardians, get ready for an exciting adventure. And the thing is, like, you can always modify this. Again, you don't have to take an AI tool's first response to you. I feel like many of the educators I meet and they say, AI is all hype and it's not really working for them. It's because they're usually going off the first response from these tools and they've not given it the most context that these tools need to really give you something that you can work with. All right, so again, even if this first response, is something that you don't like, you want to go back and forth, in the chat until it becomes something that you feel like you can use. Something also that I want to show you all that is like unique to Gemini is this thing down here. It says Canvas. And so this is just like a user interface change when you click this button. So if I click Canvas, all right, so this is the next thing. I'm going to click on Canvas and I'm going to say in the prompt, include a Spanish translation. And then Canvas is selected. See how it's highlighted in blue? If I hit submit, let's see. Okay, so it gave me the Spanish translation. Give that to me in Canvas. I just want to show folks Canvas. All right, so when I hit Canvas and then I prompted it one more time to give it to me in Canvas, it updated the user experience. And I see some people with their hands raised. I'll get to you in 1 second. So when you click that Canvas button in Gemini, it gives you these 2 screens now. Now on the left side, you can interact with Gemini, and then on the right side, you see what this looks like, in practice. So it gave me my email, and then it gave me my Spanish translation at the bottom. And again, the beauty of it is that you can go back and forth with having a conversation with this. And so if I said, make the tone warmer, include a few jokes, okay, and you can customize this however you want. I'm going to hit submit. And then what it's going to do, as you can see, it updated in Canvas, the different things. All right, get ready to sprinkle some extra fun into our school year. All right, and then it did the same thing with the Spanish translation. So what's nice about this is, if you are working on an email, if you're working on an agenda, and you are doing it in Canvas, like, you can see the side by side of how it's working. To take it a step further, there's this create button, and this is new. You can create a website, an infographic, a quiz on this, or if you click that share button at the top, you can export this to Google Docs. I think another reason, why Google Gemini has found a lot of success in the education world, aside from it being safe, is that like we all use Google Docs anyway in our work. We're all using Google Drive to organize everything, and this is built into that sphere seamlessly. Maria, did you have a question?
Yes, actually I did. So taking this a step further, let's say if you wanted to put a Google link in terms of, our students, oftentimes they forget their permission slips and the trip is the next day.
Right.
So is there a way to put a Google link for the actual permission slip to be printed on the part of the parents?
Yeah, thank you for that question. So like in that case, I would just like create this as a Google Doc. And so it just opened up a new tab, it put it in a Google Doc, and then I would add my link in here, right? I'm just gonna put any link, right? So you could put it in that way, and then you can either save this, you could share this as a view-only Google Doc with that live link, you could download it as a PDF, you could copy and paste that into an email. You have a lot of options. And so I'm gonna go back to Gemini. When you're here in Gemini and you're using Canvas, this is more of like crafting like the overall like text and like feel of it. And then ensuring that like you as a teacher, you as a school leader, your voice is still coming out of this, right? Because it doesn't matter what AI tool you use, it's gonna make it sound generic. And we all are human beings, especially now, we need to really embrace like, us as humans and our viewpoint, and you wanna make it sound like you. So Maria, like your question about links, like you just do that after the fact. But also like I've done it where I've taken an existing document that had a link in there, and then I put it in Gemini to, improve like the grammar, what have you. And then the link was there also. So if your link is there from the beginning, and let's say you open this up from like a Google Drive file, it'll maintain your link, but you have options on how to include a link. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you for that question. And then there's another question. Surajudeen, did you have a question? Okay. If so, feel free to unmute. If not, no worries. Okay. So again, I'm just going to be, going over just like the basics of these things. Definitely test out stuff in Gemini. Try that Canvas feature. It's helpful, and it can be a lot of fun using that. Okay. So I'm going to switch back to my presentation. So I showed you what that prompt looked like. Again, I updated it to include, I'm just making sure people are joining the call. I updated it to include Canvas. All right, so you just click on that button, and then you update the prompt, and then it'll give you that 2-screen view. And also using Canvas is how you can like build your own apps within Gemini. Like I know that sounds crazy, but like you could take any content you have. Maybe you're a science teacher and you want to have an interactive or like a simulation of something. You can literally ask Gemini to create it, and it'll do it. Like it's like saying it is one thing, seeing it in practice, like it's pretty nuts. Like how these things can truly make like a personalized interactive website or whatever on the fly. All right, it's okay. So here's a screenshot, similar thing. All right, so examples of how you can use Gemini: you can respond to an email, you can create or update a lesson plan, develop quiz questions, brainstorm ideas. It's up to you. If you feel inclined, feel free to put in the chat, how you see yourself using Gemini now. What do you see yourself doing with it? Do you see yourself having it help you draft X, Y, or Z? We got close to 200 people on here. Amazing. Again, if you feel inclined, feel free to share in the chat how you envision Gemini helping your work. Okay, Heather, thank you so much for kicking it off. Confidence, that's interesting. I love that you put that in there, confidence. Like, and again, I don't know the exact context of that, but I'm currently in a school right now. I just led a workshop for school leadership on like people using these tools, and then I heard a story of like, they know that there are people in the community who may not have English as like their first language, that they know are using these tools to communicate with them. And I feel like there's like a sense of empowerment there too. Like if a parent didn't have command of the English language, they might not have sent an email to administration about something, but because of these AI tools, they feel more confident in sharing their thoughts and how things are. So it's interesting to see how these tools are affecting just like also how we communicate with our our community. So I'm seeing people share stuff in the chat. Thank you so much. Yeah, so if you feel inclined, yeah, no more no more scouring the net for materials, man. You're gonna love when I talk about Notebook LM, Brian. Thank you. And Laura, thank you. Yes, this is an amazing way to differentiate lessons. So again, because this is all ERMA approved and safe to use, like teachers are taking the curriculum that they're using, putting it into these tools, and then including like very specific characteristics of their class. Maybe you have students with disabilities. Maybe you have students that are reading at a certain level, students that are coming from a particular culture, and you want these lessons to be more culturally relevant. You can use these tools to help tailor your existing lessons to be more personalized. I believe I shared this before, but the way that these systems work, you know, ChatGPT, Gemini, they're trained on every piece of writing on the internet, which is wild when you think about that. Every blog post, every website, every social media post. And so that's why these systems, you know, quote, know everything, like very nuanced things. And so you could use that to your advantage in really, truly personalizing your existing resources. All right, so let's continue. This next thing is really interesting. Laura, thank you. Yes, it's a wonderful way to take these lessons and aligning them with a particular framework. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So another thing that that's built into Gemini are these things called gems. And so essentially what gems are, it's a personalized way to get responses from Gemini. So if you have like a repetitive task that you have to do, these things work well. And I'm still trying to figure out the right way to verbalize how these gems work. I think the best way is just to show you how. So I'm going to take, again, step away from my slide deck. Now I'm sharing my Gemini window. Okay. If I go to these 3 lines at the side, you know, that we call the hamburger sometimes, these are different gems here. Or actually, if I scroll down and click on Explore Gems here on the side, this takes you to your gem manager page. And so you have some pre-made ones, Chess Champ, Brainstormer, Career Guide, etc. And these are the ones that I made. Okay, so here is one about creative ideas for 6th grade social studies. Just to give you an idea of what it looks like under the hood, I'm going to click on Edit. And this is the instruction of the gem. Again, these are all personalized instructions to give you personalized responses on repetitive tasks. So the purpose and goal that I typed, or actually that I added to this gem, assist a 6th grade social studies teacher in generating unconventional, attention-grabbing lesson plan ideas. These are the behaviors, you know, idea generation, focus on, you know, fresh ideas, consider incorporating interactive tasks, things like that. Again, if you're, I know like the school that joined us, you know, D75 school. So you could build a custom gem that has all of these like very specific ways to incorporate, you know, inclusion or to work with your student population. Okay, so these are the instructions. What does this look like in practice? And so if I go to this gem, okay, so you click on it. So this gem is all about creative ideas for 6th grade social studies. So if I say, you know, hi, it's going to use the individual instructions that I put in there. Okay, so I'm ready to help you cook up some ideas. It's asking me what social studies topic or theme are you working on? My favorite, Mesopotamia, right? I'm not going to give it any more context. I'm just saying that. And then taking my instructions, it's giving me ideas. Okay, cuneiform code breakers, gives me ideas of implementation, resources, the great Mesopotamian debate. Okay, so again, it's giving me that. It's giving me that because I pre-programmed it with how it can help me. Some other gem ideas, just to get people's gears turning. A lesson plan generator. I was working with, I don't know what people's responses to this are going to be, but I've been working with school leaders on a teacher observation gem just to help organize low inference notes, but like emphasizing the school leaders to still, provide their own feedback in there. A rubric wizard, a field trip planner, What's his field trip planner look like? Hi. All right. Tell me what grade. You say high school, ELA. And so it's taking my instructions and it's suggesting field trips, the library, brief description, the website, New York Public Library, etc. So, and this works with back office staff also. You can build a gem that's related to guidance counselors. So going back to my slide deck, gems are all part of Gemini. It's all free. If there's a repetitive task that you need to do and it needs to be, addressed in a certain way, gems are really great. And word on the street is that schools will be able to share gems. So that's going to be amazing to think about how we can create these gems and then share them with our other colleagues. So just real quickly, again, if you're interested, share in the chat how you think gems could work with your workflow, with your school. How do you envision creating a custom gem? How do you envision that help the work that you're doing? Okay, so feel free to put that in the chat if you feel inclined. Okay, a newsletter, that could work too. Newsletter ideas, a copyright editor for newsletter, that could work, right? So feel free to put that in there. Let's continue. So again, this is a screenshot of your gem manager. Feel free to test that out. And again, to get to this, I'm sharing my Gemini screen. You need to be in your side panel, and then you would click on Explore Gems. This is where you go to see existing ones, and then you would create your new gem right over there. So feel free to check that out. All right, so let me jump back into my slide deck. I showed everybody creative ideas for 6th grade. So yes, feel free to share what kind of gems would be helpful to you. Feel free to put it in the chat. We got some interesting ideas that people are sharing. Thank you so much, everybody, for sharing. 7 habits ideas for learning interactive lessons. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, so let's move on. Notebook LM. This is an incredibly powerful tool that if you've not used this, I hope you find value in this. I think you will. All right, Notebook LM also included in your New York City schools accounts, also ERMA-approved. And so Notebook LM, it's a different website. It's a different AI app that you can use to analyze specific resources. So if Gemini is like pulling information from the internet and creating new content, Notebook LM is something more personal. Okay, just it's a great question. How is this AI platform useful for bilingual students? Just if anybody wants to answer that in the chat, feel free. But these systems can really help translate content, make content more personalized, as Laura was saying, more culturally relevant. Christine already sharing how she's using Notebook LM. Thank you. So Notebook LM, how is it different from Gemini? Notebook LM, you're uploading specific resources, websites, PDFs, Google Docs. Think about, let's say you're a school that has a very long newsletter. Some schools have newsletters that are 30+ pages long. You can put that newsletter in Notebook LM, and all of a sudden, when you chat with it, it's only giving you information related to that newsletter with citations, which is interesting. Again, all of these things make more sense when you see it in practice. So I'll show you what that looks like. Which real quickly, again, you can upload websites, slides, docs, PDFs. Since this is linked with your DOE accounts, New York City Public School accounts, it's linked with your Google Drive also, so you can pull all of that information and put it into a Notebook LM. Can you use this to create a graphic organizer? That you would do in Gemini. So you could get the information in Notebook LM, and then I would copy and paste it or bring it into Gemini. Gemini can make your graphic organizer or your infographic. All right. Multimodal and multilingual. I'll get into what that means in a second. Let's just get into it. Notebook LM. Actually, let me just share one more thing. Whoops. EdTech portal. I think I closed. Hold on one second. I lost my slide deck. Whoops. It's okay. I'm going to bring it back. All right. Let me just jump to the slide. hold on one second. Okay. Oh, I know what happened. I love when a technical mishap happens. So let me just get back. Okay, Notebook LM. I just want to show everybody URL. Okay, let's just get into it right here. Notebook LM. All right, sorry about that, folks. Okay, I'm back. Notebook LM. So you can open up a new tab and go to notebooklm.google.com. I know you don't see my URL right there, but that's the website, notebooklm.google.com. And it's a completely different site. Okay. One second, here it is. I just want to share this one more time. I just want to share the URL. Okay, so because this is different from Gemini. So again, if you want to test this out, open up a new tab, make sure that you are signed into your DOE account, and it's notebooklm.google.com. All right, now I'm going to jump into the actual app. So these are the different notebooks that I've created so far. As I mentioned, there's a newsletter in here. I created a notebook on navigating AI in NYC schools, but what I want to show folks is this one right here about Common Sense. So first of all, Common Sense Media, they're an amazing organization that has wonderful resources on the best ways to consume media, view media, and they're doing a lot of research on AI. They recently came out with this research report on how teens, parents are using AI and how this is affecting our lives and our education. This is a new report. This is 56 pages. I don't know about you. I hardly have time to go to the grocery store, let alone sit down and read, a report on AI, which I plan to soon enough. But what I did is I took this PDF, I put it in Notebook LM, and after I did that, it created an overview of this. I know it's a little bit hard to see. So in the middle, I can interact with this tool, right? So there's pre-generated prompts here. So if I click on this, what are the key findings regarding teens and parents' use of generative AI? So all of this that it's giving you, this is all from the PDF, okay? And with citations. So 7 in 10 teens, age 18, report having used at least one type of generative AI, okay? And it tells you where in the document it pulled that, okay? So more information here. And apologies if it's this text is a little like smushed here. Search engines with AI generated results are the most widely used generative AI tool among teens, 56%. And again, all the citations are there. So think about, anything that you and your school have to do in terms of like reading, lengthy documents, whether it's a report, a newsletter, your student handbook, your school handbook. You can put it in Notebook LM. You can put more than one resource, and this does a really excellent job in analyzing it, and also giving you insights to that data. And the really cool thing to do right now with this are these audio overviews. And if you've not heard this before, it's a trip. And so what this does is it takes a summary of that document. It created a summary, and in addition to just having a text summary, it provides you with a podcast of what seems like two podcasters talking about this content. I gotta play it for folks to really understand it. So I'm gonna hit play.
Welcome to the deep dive. So generative AI.
And let me know in the chat if you don't hear it.
It seems like it just showed up almost overnight, right?
It really does feel that way.
And it's everywhere in teenagers' lives now. At home, definitely at school. We're seeing this like dawn of the AI era. And the big question is, how is this fundamentally changing things for young people? How they learn, how they interact, even how they think about their future.
That's precisely what we're diving into. We've got this really insightful new report from Common Sense. It's called The Dawn of the AI Era. White teens to use AI for homework help, but also for getting advice on personal stuff.
Okay, so that's wild. I hope you're able to hear it. Somebody put a thumbs up in the chat if you heard that. But okay, Jackie, thank you. Yes, as an auditory learner. Okay, thank you so much. Hey, Nick, good to see you again. Yeah, thank you all for the thumbs up. Yes, I also am an auditory learner. I think this is helpful for accessing the material. And what they recently, thank you everybody for the, you heard it. Thank you. What they added recently is if you go into settings, output language, yo, you can put this in a different language now too. So think about all the schools, all the students that you're working with, you know, where they would benefit from an audio summary of some sort of text in their own language. That's really great on there also. So I just want to share that with people. Again, like, I don't know, we don't have that much time, but I think Notebook LM has so much promise in terms of helping educators like really, again, summarize documents, you know, get insights from it, provide these like audio overviews. It's all really interesting. And then it's when an AI tool gives you something that's not true, it's called a hallucination, right? That's when an AI tool makes up something that is not true. Hallucinations are much less common in Notebook LM because it's pulling directly from the sources only you put in there. So all really interesting stuff. Feel free to try it. It's all free. It's all safe for New York City staff. Okay, so let's continue. So Notebook LM, AI gaslights. That is true. Yes, notebooklm.google.com. So here's some screenshots of it. Feel free to try it. Oh, that's interesting. Does Notebook LM have the capacity to translate into ASL? I don't think so. I don't think right now. But you know what? The thing, actually, okay, Maria, I'm glad you brought that up. I read on a blog post recently, and this is public knowledge. So right now we have audio overviews, and Christine, thank you for adding that. So it's verbal, not visual. Right now it's verbal, not visual, but soon you will be able to create visual summaries from Notebook LM. I know, crazy. I read that the other day. And so that's going to include infographics. It's going to include like images. It may include, you know, American Sign Language. I'm not sure. Even if it does, I wonder how accurate it'll be. But all this to say, this technology is moving incredibly fast, and it's only going to get better with time, right? So check in with me next week. Visual overviews may be here. All right, so if you feel inclined, please share in the chat. How do you see yourself or your school using Notebook LM? I gave some examples. Would love to hear from some people in the chat. Okay. Oh man, am I toward? I'm toward the end already. I'm going to give you another thing. I'm going to share one more thing. And I don't have it in my slide deck for some reason. I'm going to share one more thing. Okay. So here I am in Gemini. If I do another new chat, you see there's something here called deep research. Deep research, again, mind-blowing. So deep research will essentially search the internet on your behalf. What do I mean by that? I'm going to pull up a previous deep research interaction I had with Gemini. So here, this was the prompt. I'm on a school leadership team. I have been tasked to create an AI policy. I want to know what policies exist in New York as well as globally. All right, that's the gist of it. I sent that in. Deep research says, okay, here's my research plan. I'm going to do that. You could always edit the plan if you want to modify it. I waited about 5 minutes. And everybody, I'm going to show you what it did. After about 5 minutes, it created this incredibly detailed report on existing AI policies in New York City, existing AI policies in the US and abroad, things to consider when we create our AI policy. Like I talked about the K-12 AI policy lab in New York, in internal tool development. So all of this information and it pulled from, it's all information online that it compiled in this one report. And so the question is, how many websites did it check? If I scroll all the way down, it should tell me. Look at this. Sources used in the report. AI, Gemini, checked every one of these websites. This is like 100 different websites. How long would have taken anyone? This would have taken me hours, if not days, to go through all these websites and compile this report. So again, yes, you want to go through the report, make sure it's accurate. But a big benefit of these tools is that you're not starting from scratch. And I heard this really interesting take on these AI tools. Like, yes, using these tools can make us, make this work easier and faster, but should that really be the goal? I was talking to this teacher and he was saying, should the goal, maybe a better goal is to make our work better and more engaging for our students. And these tools definitely have the potential to do that. Yes, you can do things faster. Yes, you can do things easier, but this can really amplify what you already know and the work that you would have done. And it really could, if you use it in the right way, make your work better and more engaging for our students, for our colleagues, for everyone, if you use it the right way, right? If you're intentional about how you're doing this, not trying to cut corners, all of that. So this was all done in deep research. Again, so this research report, I could export it to a Google Doc. Again, I could create a website, an infographic, a quiz. Deep research is incredible. I've used it a few times to research, AI approaches in schools, but also like personal things. My family's thinking about moving to a different town. I did a deep research on what's the likelihood of flooding in this area, and it researched 100 different sites, on like the likelihood of flooding in this area. So you can really leverage this tool to gain more information, to share with your students, your colleagues. All right. Again, built into your DOE accounts, it's all free. So I'm back to the slide deck. So I went over a bunch of things. I'm going to share all of this with everybody, all the 160, 70 people that joined us today. I'm going to share all this with you via email. I'm going to share this with you all. There's a new AI course for free that Google put out there. This course is interesting because this is all about how to use specific Google AI tools. They have another course that is just agnostic Google AI tools, which is really great. Again, I'm going to share this with everybody. Oh, I don't know what everyone's doing on June 18th. It's a Wednesday, but we are having a Gemini Academy in person in the Google office in Chelsea. It's going to be awesome. It's an all-day event. If you're able to, come join us, we would love to have you. So what we're going to do this day, we're going to have everyone there. We're going to talk about Gemini. We're going to talk about like the use cases. We're going to show you some examples, but mainly we're going to have everybody interact with each other and talk about how you envision using this. Sharing ideas. It's going to be a really great networking, interactive experience. You can register at the EdTech portal. Okay. I'll email us out to everybody. I'm going to put this link in the chat. So you go to the EdTech portal. You got to search for it. Okay. It's called In-Person Gemini Academy. There's a cap. I think there's 100 people registered right now. I think we set the cap at 150. So if you believe you're able to join us that day, we would love to have you. We're back to doing in-person sessions. It's going to be a lot of fun. So thank you, Laura, for sharing that in there. Thank you so much. Feel free to join us if you can. So folks, I'm going to put my information up here. This is a very interesting time that we're living in. AI is really changing how we do everything, not even in education, just how we live our lives. And it's a double-edged sword. There are amazing things that it has promise in helping us, be more efficient, making things easier, faster, better, and more engaging. But also, yeah, there are drawbacks to this also. Cheating, plagiarism, the scams are becoming more sophisticated with this tool. So it really comes down to how well can we educate ourselves to know about these tools, to prepare our students for this future ahead with AI. And folks, we're just getting started and it's an exciting time. I think that we can agree on. So thanks everybody for joining. I appreciate you taking this time out of your day. I'm here if you have any questions. I'm gonna hang around for the next 10 minutes if you want. Feel free to put questions in the chat. Feel free to unmute if you feel like you wanna ask me a question, but I'm here. I'm also gonna put the link to CTLE hours if anybody needs that. Hold on one second. But yes, thank you for joining. I'm going to put the CTLE link in the chat. I just want to, okay. Here we go. And I'll pin it also. All right. So I just put a link in the chat. If you need CTLE hours, feel free to fill out that Google form. 1 hour of CTLE credit. Thank you everybody for joining us. Guys, this is an amazing time that we're living in. Scary time, concerning time, yes, but exciting nonetheless. If we all use AI using the right ethical viewpoints, and there's going to be a lot more workshops hosted by Project Recess, other partners that are here to support New York City schools, New York City school departments. There's a lot of support coming, okay? So we're all in this together, and we're all going to learn how to use this tool for good. So thank you everybody for joining. If anybody has any questions, feel free to put it in the chat. Have a good weekend, have a good weekend. I wish it was a weekend. Have a good rest of the day. Thank you, everybody. And I hope people are free to join us on the 18th. That should be a lot of fun. Also on the 18th, we have a GEG, that stands for Google Educator Group. That's in the evening. That's from, I think like 5 to 8, something like that. A very informal gathering, social gathering, talking about how we're using different tech tools, emphasis on social gathering. That's also happening on the 18th. So that's, Christine, thank you for asking. That's also at the Google office. So it's all one-stop shop. Come to the Google office on the 18th from 9 to 3. There'll be a lot of time for breaks and working on your own things. And then after that, that will lead into the Google Educator Group meetup. So, and then the space that we're in, it's near like the West Side Highway and I think 15th Street. Like it's one of my favorite Google spaces. It's called Goblin King. Don't let the name scare you. It's a beautiful space. And then you think about it as an unofficial end of the year celebration and party, talking about Google AI tools and how teachers can support each other using these things. So hope you can join us. I'll put the link to the EdTech portal in the chat again, and I'll pin it. Okay, so feel free to join. Thank you, everybody. Special shout outs to 721X for joining us, and all the great schools in Staten Island that have been supporting us through these Monday sessions the past month or so. Yes, Christine, yes. So there are 3 sessions in this current AI, series, and this is a repeat. So the first 3 just ended, and so I'm repeating them again. So today was all about AI for efficiency. Next Monday is all about AI for creative uses, going over things in Gemini, but also Canva and Adobe Express, Google Vids, a brand new video editing tool that everyone in New York City just got access to, 2 months ago. And then the final one is on Google Vids, on how we can use that for storytelling. All right, so yeah, Lisa, a Google Vids advocate, she was there. Thank you so much, Lisa, for for sharing your perspectives in there. Thank you, everyone. If you've joined us in the past, thank you for joining us. So yes, get home safely. I hope everyone, it looks like a beautiful day outside. I hope everybody enjoys. Is there a link for Gemini Academy? So you know what? I love the EdTech portal, but when I share the link to the session, sometimes it doesn't work, but I'm going to try it one more time. Just to walk through. So when you go to the EdTech portal, you want to go to PD offerings at the top, all upcoming PD offerings. We like to make you dig just a little bit, and then you can register for the Monday PDs here, Project Recess, but then Gemini Academy, it's this one right here, in-person Gemini Academy. Currently have 108 people. Again, we're going to cap it at 150. If you click on that, it should take you to this, and you should be able to register it. I'm gonna paste this in the chat. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it says it's filled already, which is not true. Oh, okay, Laura, thank you so much. Laura posted it in there already. People got my back. Laura, thank you so much. Thank you. So again, thanks everybody for joining. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. And me too, Laura. I always got your back too. All right, we're in the Fetch squad together. Thank you, everybody. I'm here if you have any questions. Oh, Christine, there may be there are summer offerings also. through like the partner certification program. So keep an eye out. There will be summer offerings also. So keep an eye out on the EdTech portal. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thank you so much. Have a great afternoon. If anybody has any questions, I'm here. Feel free to reach out. Thank you. So I'm just going to go camera off, but I'm still here. If people have any questions, I'll give it another minute or so if anybody has any questions. And I'm going to stop the recording.